Hi, my name is Peter Graham. I'm the incoming director of the Global Buildings Network, hosted by the Penn State University under the auspices of the UNECE to implement the UNECE framework guidelines on energy efficiency standards for buildings. I'm really sorry that I can't be with you today in person, but I do hope that my short intervention will contribute to your productive discussions at these important meetings. Like many of you here today, I've been working to promote the mainstream adoption of sustainable building policies and practices for decades. Most of this time I've spent making the case for change and answering a question which, until very recently, was most often posed by public and private sector stakeholders alike. Why should we change? Now, I believe we are succeeding in changing that attitude. Our relentless efforts have contributed to a global consensus on the pursuit of sustainable development goals and a coordinated global commitment to try to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees under the Paris Agreement. With the UN SDGs, the Paris Climate Agreement, the UN Habitat New Urban Agenda, we have for the first time a clear framework and political will for taking common but differentiated actions to achieve a more equitable, healthy, productive and peaceful world. The building sector has a major influence on a number of these goals. Therefore, as practitioners, we have essential roles to play. The winds of change are now at our backs, and we are being asked to answer a new and more urgent question. How do we make this change? To support your discussion today, I'd like to share with you some high-level thoughts on how best to respond to that question. Governments and industry need to deepen their ambition and accelerate the pace of change. 136 countries have included building sector related mitigation actions in their nationally determined contributions, or NDCs, which provides a huge opportunity for engagement. This is complemented by thousands of building sector commitments being made by subnational governments and industry. 77% of building related climate commitments have been made by municipalities, providing even more opportunities for local market transformation. Despite a high level of awareness of the need to change and the benefits of change, current commitments by governments and all levels of private sector are not yet sufficient to reduce climate change impacts. Only 1/3 of countries have building codes in place. Those that do are only regulating about half of the energy-related mitigation potential of their building sector. We're therefore missing around 2 gigatons a year of building energy-related emissions. One of the reasons for this is that existing codes and standards do not often implement a whole of building systems-based approach. The IPCC's fifth assessment report, Chapter 9 on Buildings, of which I was a contributing author, indicate that the integrated systems design approach could increase energy savings by as much as 40%. Another major barrier to more radical change is lack of technical and administrative capacity. Surveys of national, regional and local governments that I've conducted for the OECD, UNEP, APEC and with 136 municipalities globally identified that capacity building and knowledge sharing are a major unmet demand. There are vast numbers of building sector related platforms out there, but the proliferation of uncoordinated information is creating confusion and mistrust rather than developing the capability and courage of building practitioners and policymakers to lead the innovation we need to see the sector change in the next 10 years. It's therefore important that we align our capabilities and goals, are networked to accelerate learning, and organised to work as researchers and educators with government, donors and the private sector to achieve real local market transformations. Indeed, the preamble to the UNECE framework guidelines states that transformative change in buildings is possible, and the capabilities to create a new world of buildings and energy is in hand or within reach. Already today we have the techniques to achieve climate neutrality in the building sector. Which brings me to the role of the GBN, Global Buildings Network. The Global Buildings Network has been created to lead in delivering on that possibility. It's about enabling implementation of low carbon strategies in the field. The Global Buildings Network takes seriously that transformation is possible and that it requires a paradigm shift in building delivery and management, and that therefore we require a massive educational effort in the field for public and private sector decision makers and the workforce. In alignment with Penn State University's mission, this will be achieved by providing building sector practitioners with unparalleled access to education in sustainable building practices and technologies. The GBN is now working with a range of partners to put this into place. We're developing a global consortium of research universities to provide markets with the database certainty required for investment and continuous improvement through the life cycle of the building and building stock. We're creating the required educational curricula to enable policymakers and businesses in the construction value chain to develop policies and designs and construct and operate high-performance buildings that meet the principles of the framework guidelines. We're developing a network of collaborating centres of excellence and other institutions to form a community of practice, of practical knowledge and experience, and provide learning hubs to support local market transformation and education. We're also developing this network with the ability to contribute to existing networks that can deliver on the UNECE and the Global Building Network goals. The next steps will be to engage networks of major and mid-tier developers, mayors, city-level decision makers who are committed to a high-performance building future and leading the transformation. Our aim is to begin to implement the Global Buildings Network program in 2019. Now, this is an open initiative, and so we invite you to stay in contact and also to get involved. So to finish, I'd like to relate 4 key points. First of all, we've run out of time to make incremental changes. Urgent transformational change in the building sector is required. We stand to benefit greatly, economically, socially, and environmentally from taking widespread transformational actions to mainstream a systems approach to high-performance buildings. Third point, governments and industry by and large are no longer asking why we should change, but how to change. We have the wind of change at our backs. Fourth point then, the framework guidelines are an important tool for lifting the bar and supporting change globally, and the Global Buildings Network is here to help make that happen. So please join us and make the next critical 10 years the decade we succeed in transitioning to sustainability. Good luck with the rest of your meetings. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you sometime soon.